Pluto in Leo, 1937 to 1957. The birth of a generation that changed the world. Pluto first entered Leo in 1937, briefly retreated due to its retrograde motion, and then settled permanently in the sign in 1939, remaining there until 1957. According to astrology, this period was marked by the exaltation of individual identity, the need for recognition, personal prominence, and self-expression. It was during this cycle that one of the most influential generations in modern history was born. They grew up in a rapidly changing world, shaped by the end of World War II, the beginning of the Cold War, the expansion of television, the rise of mass culture, and the emergence of new idols and celebrities. Entertainment reached an unprecedented scale. Rock music revolutionized popular culture. Young people began to establish themselves as a cultural force, and new ways of thinking about individual freedom emerged. Many of the social changes that we now consider normal began to gain momentum during this period. Divorce gradually became more accepted in many societies, traditional customs started to be questioned, and a few years later, the birth control pill would profoundly transform relationships between men and women, sexuality, and the concept of family. Experimentation with drugs and the search for new experiences also increased, reflecting an era of departure from older values. From a more critical astrological perspective, the Pluto and Leo generation developed a strong need for recognition and validation. Some observers believe that this translated, in many cases, into behaviors marked by ego, difficulty accepting criticism, and a tendency to believe that their desires and opinions should occupy center stage. Critics of this generation argue that many of its members grew up with greater material comfort than previous generations, receiving opportunities and resources that had once been scarce. This, they suggest, contributed to a more demanding attitude and a lower tolerance for hardship.
Some also argue that this generation passed on various limiting beliefs, fears, and emotional traumas to subsequent generations, often through rigid or contradictory educational models. While preaching freedom and change, they frequently imposed rules and expectations that constrained younger people. This duality left deep marks on their children and grandchildren. From a critical standpoint, many believe that the Pluto in Leo generation witnessed and participated in a profound transformation in the value of one's word and in the very notion of truth. As image, appearance, and social recognition became increasingly important, authenticity sometimes gave way to convenience and the construction of personal narratives. According to their critics, this generation helped normalize the weakening of commitments that had previously been considered sacred, making it more common to say one thing and do another, adapt the truth to circumstances, or place greater importance on presentation than on substance. In this view, a person's word lost some of the weight and responsibility it had carried for earlier generations, giving rise to a culture in which perception often became more important than facts. Regardless of interpretation, it is undeniable that the period of Pluto in Leo coincided with one of the most transformative eras in contemporary history. It was a generation that witnessed the birth of the modern world, mass culture, television, global celebrities, changing social values, and the growing importance of the individual. Its strengths and its excesses continue to influence today's society, decades after the end of this astrological cycle.